Welcome to another edition of Rise and Shine. We seem to be on a tear here with this Trump series. We didn't even let the guys go home after the last show. Maybe we jump right into another. Brother Battles was chomping at the bit. We finally got his seat back upright because he was swinging at me. We're going to talk a little bit about President Trump's immigration policies. You know, last time we talked about the economy. We solved that problem. Now we're going to talk about the immigration, see if we can't solve that problem. Brother Battles, take us into a brief prayer, and then we're going to take for a pause for a quick break.
Heavenly Father, as we indulge ourselves in conversation this morning, let us invoke your will that the masses of the people will be impacted by what we do, and that our true hearts will be expressive of your love. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Okay, we're going to pause for a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
We'd like for you to join us each Sunday for Rise and Shine with Robert Battles, James Gordon, and Henry Harsib on Fox 10 at 5:30 a.m. each Sunday morning. We'd like for you to join us so that we can provide you with information that will be beneficial to you and to your family.
Mr. Buckley, how you doing today?
Doing great, Dr. Gordon. How are you, sir?
Great, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate you treating with the Alabama Injury and Pain Clinic. What was your favorite thing?
Well, first of all, no out-of-pocket expense, and my back has gotten great.
This is great. You know, a lot of our patients worry about who's going to pay their bill. So it's good to know that the insurance company will pay after your case is settled. No out-of-pocket expenses. Call 476-PAIN. The choice is yours. Welcome back. We're going to start our discussion about the immigration policies of President Donald Trump. We're talking about, I guess, there seem to be some things about the people who are immigrated from south of the border, and then the Muslims who immigrate from the Middle Eastern countries. That seemed to be the biggest tear. And I guess I'll open it up to you guys for a couple of your thoughts on the matter.
Well, immigration rather, not integration, but immigration has been the foundation of America. We are a nation of immigrants, and so, but what's happening currently is that this current administration with our new president has no finesse about himself in trying to control the factors that impact on the quality of life for all citizens without regard to who they are. But with the immigration, with the executive order that President Trump had issued recently that was struck down by the courts, well, we got to understand that we in America are in a democracy, not an autocratic form of government, so that when the president make all attempts to talk about, well, the courts are this and the fake courts and the judges ain't this, what kind of message do we send around the world about the problems that we have as a nation, but more importantly though, what kind of stability do we project?
Well, you know, as you was talking, Mr. Bell, the only thing that came to my mind was my way or the highway.
That's
and
right.
I think that's a bad way to be.
And that's
my way or the highway.
Is that in reference to the current administration?
Well, I'm just saying it can't
Right.
not be. We have in New York City what's called the Statute of Liberty
That's
that was given to America because of its policy on send us your weaks, send us your poor, and let them have an opportunity, because this is what America was built on. We know when we look at the history of America, there were people that came to America for religious freedom and other freedoms. And then our Constitution of these United States, which I think is one of the best constitutions in the world, says, behold, we hold these truths as self-evidence that all men are created equal. But look, now all of a sudden we want to now start dividing us again, like things that's happening in other places of the world, that no, because you are this, then you're no longer welcome. If you're that, where is it going to stop? And I always have said, and I do believe, and I know it will never get there, because I say that you plan a plan and God plan a plan, and I believe God plan is the best plan. Amen. Now, if we think we're going to stop Muslims, stop Hispanics, stop Africans next, stop all people of color, which is this is what it's all about. To make America white again, it will not work. Mr. President, it will not work. And I have heard and watched other programs that this is being not from the president himself, but from those that he's inspired, as this is what they like to see America as white again. And I disagree with that opinion.
Yeah, well, I would say, in taking, again, when I'm in a situation where I'm at a job and I got a supervisor that I disagree with, I got people in the legislature that I disagree with, and serving in the legislature, I try to listen for their opinion, and I try to keep my emotions out of it. I don't make decisions with my emotions. I try to make factual decisions, and I evaluate the situation and listen to the facts of the matter. And people accuse me when I was in Montgomery of being a problem because I read the legislation. I read the bills that I voted on. I didn't just vote, didn't give a rubber stamp, and didn't let a rebel rouser come in and rouse my emotions by lying and saying it was something that it is not. I would say that you have a situation that you have people who are causing terror in the world. It's not all people of Muslim faith. It just happens to be a section of radical people, radical Christians with the Christian Crusades did the same things back in the early days with the Catholic Church. So if you had a pocket in the world where these radical Christians were coming from, you would say, hey, let's make sure we check those people and double check those people before we let them in our country. The problem I have with people who want to create terroristic problems, be they domestic or foreign, is that people who have a lot of security around them are the ones telling the people without security, like you and I, that we don't have anything to worry about. We are here at the parades at the Mardi Gras. We are here at the parades at the Christmas celebration. They're in secure trucks and got bodyguards all around them. So if an explosion goes off, it's going to be for the least of these and for we the people. So we the people have to be mindful. And I don't know, these domestic terrorism as bad as anybody that come from any foreign lands. But I think that if a person says, okay, I want people from Syria to be checked and double checked, then just make sure that it's not because of the color, but because of an ideal. How do you do that? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But I say at the end of the day, let's just make sure that if we're double checking someone, and people say, well, what about Saudi Arabia? What about England? Well, England and Saudi Arabia has better checks and balances. They don't have forged passports to the degree
but
of the Syrian passports. The Syrian government or some of these other governments, like Libya, we were responsible in some point for the Libyan government being overthrown. So now you got a lot of forgeries going on because we took out the leader Gaddafi, and or has something to do with standing by allowing it to happen if we didn't have our hands directly on the button. But at the end of the day, now you got a lot of forgeries going on from that country, so much so that I can't even go to West Africa, to Ivory Coast, and give speeches like we're invited to do. We can't even, because the Libyan conflict has spread to that region, and it's anti-American sentiment. So if the people from Libya have to be checked and double checked because there's a lot of forgeries going on, I don't know what better way. How do you better protect the Americans from people coming from these regions where you don't have checks and balances like you do in other regions?
Dr. Gordon, I would really agree with you in terms that we do need checks and balances, because safety is one of the primary prerequisites for us, not as Americans only, but as just general citizens. But at the same time, though, when you got an administration who does not project unity throughout the whole world and causes instability. See, the human organism was never designed to be unstable and to have excessive stress. And so, look at the president. Let's take, for example, okay, with the ban on the executive order, then with Netanyahu from Israel come in for a conference the other day, he specifically know that the general policy of the United States has always been a two-state solution to the problems between the Palestinians and between the Israelis. But at the same time, though, Netanyahu gets up and he says that, this is our land. He's not an original Jew from the Holy Land. He's not from, the original Jews were the Hebraic African Jews. So what they're doing is they are on the base of racism around the world, which include our administration here in the United States, have come to a conclusion that immigration from those Somalia, from all Mexico, all those are people of color.
Okay, with all due respect, now the ban, the executive order, and by the time the show aired, there'll probably be 2 or 3 more executive orders because as they get struck down, you probably sign another, President Trump. At the end of the day, you're talking about out of 200 countries, out of 50 or 60 Muslim countries, you're talking about 7 Muslim countries, no Mexican country. The travel ban was not from Mexico.
It was not.
It's not. So no Mexican, no Christian.
They've already put the wall up.
No
for
majority
them.
Christian countries, but it was majority Muslim countries, and that could be unfair looking at religion. I think that's why one of the reasons the ban, because you only seem to struck down the Muslim countries. But it was 7 countries with unstable territory.
But let's look at the fact. As I
Where
say,
they
there's
come from.
always some truth that we can find in these things.
Yes,
Let's start with Mexico. Mexico, the fact of the matter is, immigration has been getting less and less. There are more Hispanics that's leaving America, going back to Mexico.
The jobs are there.
Right,
Ford,
exactly.
Chevy.
So we want them out
Toyota.
when you give them something to go for. So you can't have it both ways. You want your cake and you want to eat it too.
Who wants them? We want to keep her a job.
Well,
we want people to come in legally.
But I'm saying the fact.
Where the facts are.
We want to build a
The-
billion-dollar wall
No.
for people, I guess, to keep them in because the fact is they're already leaving.
Well, the facts are, brother, I see, there's never been a line to leave America, and no one's ever been stopped from leaving America. You can always leave America. Now, the facts are that the President Obama administration, Democrat, the President Bush administration, all the way back to President Reagan, have allowed so many folks to come in here, undocumented, that instead of President Obama putting the DREAM Act together, he should have put a pathway to citizenship or a executive order to make these people citizens who've been in this country from so many years. If you've been in this country at least 5 years or so, because it's unfair to try to tell people they need to leave the country after you allow them. All these administrations, Republican and Democrat, all these administrations have allowed these folks to come in here and set up shop and have families and have a home and to start their way of life and get driver's license and everything else. Now all of a sudden you want to say, well, time out. Now I agree, maybe time out for the criminals, but no, you're right. Those folks who've been in this country for 2 years or 3 years or whatever, wherever you need to draw that line, you need to allow them to be citizens because there's no line to get into to become a citizen once you get into this country.
Right.
And people will say, well, they got in illegally. I agree with you, but we allowed it. We allowed it. We, the Democrats, those Republicans who were in office, we, the Democrats who were in office, allowed it. So we should make it a pathway to citizenship because there's no line to get into to become a citizen in this country. No magical fees. They've been paying fees long enough. They pay when they shop for groceries, when they pay the taxes, the rent, or whatever. They paying taxes just like everybody else. But we owe a duty to those immigrants to legitimize them if they've been in this country for at least 2 years or 3 years or somewhere draw the line. And at that point, then you need to maybe tighten up the border security if you want to make that an issue. But there's never been a line to leave this country.
Well, what I believe that what we need to look at is what do we expect to gain by saying, oh, these 7 countries, because if we saying, okay, then we'll have less terrorism, then the fact of the matter is, from the 7 countries that's been isolated, eliminated, we didn't get any terrorism in America from in the first place.
Okay,
I
agree. We agree. I think we agree that President Trump saying to eliminate the 7 countries. However, the 7 countries list was put together by President Obama.
Yeah,
So at the
this
end of the
was put
day,
together by.
at the end of the day,
right.
at the end of the day, well, they were put as a problem country.
Right.
But at the end of the
I
day, and
agree,
we
they
created some
still
of the
are.
problems.
Uh-huh.
But President Obama's administration wanted to create some of the
But
problems.
they
by
still
destabilizing
are
the
a problem
government.
country. But he didn't put in place there, say,
Saudi
these
Arabia,
7 countries
that's
will
right.
be banded because we didn't, as America, didn't get anything.
we
going.
had something to do with destabilizing some of those countries' governments.
We had a lot to do.
So therefore, we have to, you know, I don't know how you. Okay, if you said, okay, this country here has 50% of their documents are forged. This country here has a 1%. The American documents are forged. You got forged American passports, American money. Still today, you got American money that's forged. But it's the percentage is so small. But over here, if this percentage is high, so you know, I don't know how do you do that. But you're right. The most terrorism we had in America lately is domestic.
Right.
We've had
So-
domestic terror. We haven't had foreign terrorism.
And then the people
Well,
who were in the previous terrorist group had come from Saudi Arabia. 14 of the 19 hijackers who was in the September 11 controversy came from Saudi Arabia, you know. But at
That's
the-
if you were
but-
sincere
but
about
legitimate
doing it.
paperwork, though.
But look, the legitimate
They were here
paperwork.
and they were
but look at
illegal.
this. Let me make my point. The point is that well, we have become so technologically advanced that we really have isolated ourselves because we start picking and petting. But the administration who currently occupy the White House with Steve Bannon and all of that group around it, they have no concern about the quality of life for the American people. What they have is the same thing that the neocons had previously who was under the Bush administration. The neocons' philosophy was that you should lie to the people 80% of the time because they just couldn't take it. So this is another
Well, let's take
thing.
a break right here, gentlemen, and we're going to be right back to continue this most interesting, we'll say, subject. We'll
On
be right
immigration.
back in a moment on immigration.
H&H Financial Services in Mobile has over 20 years experience in accounting, bookkeeping, appraisals, real estate, and year-round tax preparations. Give them a call today at 251-438-1620 or visit them at 1560 St. Stephen's Road in Mobile. Let your money grow in our care at H&H Financial Services.
We'd like for you to join us each Sunday for Rise and Shine with Robert Battles, James Gordon, and Henry Harsib on Fox 10 at 5:30 a.m. each Sunday morning. We'd like for you to join us so that we can provide you with information that will be beneficial to you and to your family.
Mr. Buckley, how you doing today?
Doing great, Dr. Gordon. How are you, sir?
Great, sir. I appreciate. Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate you treating with the Alabama Injury and Pain Clinic. What was your favorite thing?
Well, first of all, no out-of-pocket expense, and my back has gotten great.
This is great. You know, a lot of our patients worry about who's going to pay their bill. So it's good to know that the insurance company will pay after your case is settled. No out-of-pocket expenses. Call 476-PAIN. The choice is yours. Welcome back. Welcome back. We'll be finishing up our discussion on immigration. And Brother Battles, you know, the problem is I think President Bush and President Obama are probably more alike than disalike. It should be President Bush and President Trump. But the funny thing is, if you look at some of the policies, and you look at even the demeanor, the way First Lady Michelle Obama treated President Bush versus the Jimmy Carter. President Obama was never contacted President Jimmy Carter, according to President Jimmy Carter, but yet they seem to be buddy-buddy with President Bush. So you can criticize the Bush administration, the Obama administration, the Trump administration, but if Brother Battles got elected to serve as president, you have your ideas of the way you handle things. And at the end of the day, as a citizen, I'm saying really how you make the sausage. You know, I don't really care. Just try to be fair to the citizens and try to make it where we all as citizens progress. You know, we all live. So I don't have time to be throwing stones at this guy and this guy or this lady because or just for the sake of throwing stones or just because they're different than I or believe different than I. There's more than one way to skin a cat. See, I go at the problem from this side, you got the problem from that side. If the solution's in the middle, taking care of the people, then at the end of the day, that's what we want to do is take care of the people.
So will you
I
send-
disagree.
will
I
you send
disagree.
Will you send a letter to President Trump? But that's what we want to do.
You set the meeting up. They tell the news.
All right, there you go.
He tell to the reporter.
That's
You
right.
set the meeting up, and I'll make it happen.
You know, the interesting thing here is that whatever policies are put in place is going to affect all of the American citizens. And I think that's what we need to realize, whether they're good policies or bad policies, we all are going to be affected by it. We talked about tax breaks, how tax breaks now, and if I was on Wall Street, I would be shouting, jumping and shouting right now, because they have let the horse out of the hanger there, as they say, and he's now running wild again because he wasn't tamed. And that's the reason we had to put him in lockup in the first place. But how these policies affect John Doe average citizens, I don't believe that the average American citizen is being able to feel the effect of how this is really affecting them in the positive sense. And that's what we need. We need something to get the American public, the mass public, to be able to get in the mind of working to make America great again. I remember one of our former presidents that I have a lot of respect for, President John Kennedy, who said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Well, the policies and things that are being made, if they are made against me, then you don't expect me to be working for my country when the policies are working against me. For example, if slavery was reinstituted again, and I guess pretty soon we'll start
Come
here.
on, why did
Well,
you're on a good roll? You're on a good roll.
But I'm saying if slavery was
that gonna happen.
instituted
That can happen.
again, well,
That can
yes,
happen.
it can happen.
No. That's not. That's
It is not
unfair.
Okay, well,
Just tell them that. Leave that alone. Just chop that off.
Well, I know
Let's
that's
leave-
a touchy subject, but
It ain't touch. It's impossible. It's impossible.
It's not impossible.
With the
because
time we
slavery
have,
in the world.
gentlemen, let's leave the slavery alone. Let's look at not alternative facts, but facts. The facts is that unless we get a unified administration who can project to the people what really needs to be done in order to bring about a unified country, this is not even part. Let's give for example. Okay, you got with the cabinet, Betsy DeVos, Secretary of Education. Never even been in a public school, but yet it's still our crisis, and our students are falling way behind, not only in Alabama, but across the whole nation. Then we have other areas. So what we really know, if everybody could just sit down and understand for a minute that it's for the good of the order that we are elected, that we are there to serve. We're not there to be dictators.
What you got to understand, though, Brother Battles, and my biggest frustration, because I've been a big supporter of public schools, but when I look at the support I give the public schools, and I look at what they give to me, what they give to me is protection of the teachers. What I see is a system that says the teachers union, which I'm a strong union man, but the union has to be rewarded when the product is good that you put out. When you look at the graduation rate, when you fudge the numbers and
But
fudge
what do
test
the
scores,
teacher unions
when
have
you-
to do with the graduation rate, Dr. Gardner?
well, the teachers union means that if you got a strong teachers union with good benefits, but the graduation rate is a lower percent, or you got somebody over here, be it a school, be it a commissioner or the head of the school board, the superintendent,
That's right.
fudging numbers to make the grades look good so they can get more budget dollars down. The student is, the kid is the reason we're there. If that child is not ready for college, see, 20% of the kids got A's in 1980, 46% of getting A's today, but yet more kids now are taking remedial courses at college. This is an insult. This cannot be allowed. We're not teaching these kids. If they got to take a remedial math or remedial English to take a college level English 101 or math 101 or math 111, whatever the entry level is, they can't start at the 100 level. They got to start at the 060 level or the 090. Any zero in front of Your course is a remedial.
That's remedial.
That's high school. That means
is.
you did not learn in high school what you should have learned. So we're going to teach it to you in college. You're going to pay for it, but you won't get the credit.
But Dr. Gordon, I agree with you 100%.
Well, no. Let me finish the thought. The thought is, where did the public school system punish itself, or where did it check and balance itself for the failures? That's my main question.
But Dr. Gordon, even if you talk about the check and balances for the say, everything, the leadership always make a significant difference in what the product is being produced by the system. If the leadership, just like the leadership of the nation, is in such fragile condition right now, and the people in the public school system are the same thing, we're going to still produce the same old type of product. See, the purpose of American education was to teach the American children the American way of life. We would teach them civics so that they would understand that while they had a right to a free and public education, that they also had a responsibility to be good students and good citizens. This is not taught.
Well, you know, we got so many different mindsets at this that we definitely gonna have to continue this discussion. We do want to hear from our TV audience there on what do you think about these conversations. We trying to present different sides. Maybe, I don't know if some of us believe what we presenting or not, but we're trying to present the different side. We hope to hear from you. Give us a text, give us a call with that number that you see on your dial, that we'd like to hear from you and to see, because we want to be able to feel and understand your position, and we're just trying to give some positions in here so to make you think. And if we become a thinking people, then as they say, people who don't stand for anything will don't stand for something will go for anything. It's been a great conversation we've had, even though I was shut out of this one, and maybe the next one.
Can I make one comment?
You shut it out. You shut it out.
The only conclusion that I would like to hear from the public, who our audience there, is what do you feel that could increase the quality of education in Mobile County?
Well, this show was on immigration, and we tipped into education on the end of it. So the next show we'll talk a little bit about education, because that's another policy that where President Trump should trickle down. But that's really at the local, state, and federal level. We need to talk about education, and we'll put that on the next show, a full show more on that, because that's a lot to talk about. And Brother Hasib had a lot he wanted to say.
And he was
See
not
you next
shut out.
week.
We'd like for you to join us each Sunday for Rise and Shine with Robert Battles, James Gordon, and Henry Hasib on Fox 10 at 5:30 a.m. each Sunday morning. We'd like for you to join us so that we can provide you with information that will be beneficial to you and to your family.